Okay, there's our signal light on. Driving nice and carefully here. And as the signal light cancels out, oh, on comes the high beams. So you end up flashing the person in front of you. Let me just jiggle with that. Nope, I'll try to shut it off. There it goes. Well, if this is happening to you, you need to fix this up and change out that switch over here. And you came here to find out how to do that, so let me shed some light on that for you. Okay, for the tools that you're going to use to complete the job, you're going to need a number 25 Torx screwdriver. You'll need this trim tool or something like it. You could maybe use maybe something like a flat plastic sort of scraper or something like that. This one's a little bit wide, and you'll see as the video progresses. You're also going to need this 4mm socket as well. I have it mounted on a nut driver handle. It comes, and you will need it for sure, and you'll see that as well. And also this one here, which is basically it's a Torx screwdriver, but it's just made like an Allen key, and you'll of course see where that's going to come in as well. And I like to use this all just to take apart the electrical connections, just to unlock the plugs. I just find it works fairly well to slide in and undo the little tab that is generally there. So those are the tools you're going to need to get the job done. And of course you're going to need your new signal light switch as well. And just FYI on this one came from Amazon. It has a part number there, and you can see it, GM 20808029. Does not match the part number of the signal switch that came out, but what I did was entered in the car, which in this case is the 2008 Cadillac STS, and the part that it gave was this one. Even though it doesn't match, it is a fit. So I guess over the years the part numbers change, but the overall configuration of the parts don't. So you just enter in the car that you're looking for, and it seems to work out well. Okay, so the first thing you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to take these covers off, and I'll walk you through that. Pretty straightforward stuff, really. Okay, in order to get that cover off, here we're on the underside of the steering wheel column cover, and you have 3 openings here. You have one here, you have one here in the center, right there, and one here on the side. This one here in the center, you don't have to worry about this one at all. It's not going to help you take that cover off. You have a screw in here, and you have a screw in here. And we're just going to use our Torx bit right here to get those 2 out. We'll get that right inside here, and we'll get started, and we'll get this off, and it'll expose what we need to see. Okay, now that we have our screws out, and here they are right here, I'll just put those back down on the floor. I'm just going to remove the steering wheel column cover, and I'm just going to use my trim remover here. And it's nice because it's kind of easy on the parts. There you go. We'll just get this on this side. Just prise the two sides apart, and we're going to do the same over on the other side. Okay, now here we are on the other side, and we're just going to put our trim removal tool right in here. Same deal. There it is. Now the 2 of the pieces just come apart like so. Then what we can actually do is, just for the bottom piece, I'm just going to pull it, just tilt the steering wheel up a little bit here, and just going to pull it straight out, and you should be able to see that. There it is right there. And basically it's right out, and I can just pull that right completely out of the way, and there it is, just free hanging there. Now at this top section here, this is going to take a little bit more. Like, you'd think you can just pull this right off, but it doesn't work that way, and I'm going to show you why it doesn't. Yeah, so what you have up inside here is this kind of Torx looking bolt, and that's where we're going to use our 4mm socket to get that guy off right in there. And once we do, then we'll be able to, I'll just get that started. You see that right there? And once I get this guy off right here, I'll turn that right out. I'll get the rest of it off, and then we'll take the top cover off. But you have to take that that nut off right up in there, or that bolt off right up in there, then you can get the top cover off. So we'll get that off and then we'll continue on. Okay, there's the little bolt I had to take out from there, along with our 4mm socket, which I just have mounted onto a handle. And that's where that little tool comes in. So we'll get the top cover off here. Okay, what I'll do for this part of the job is just tilt the steering wheel down. Just makes it a little bit easier. And for this part here, you just have to give it all a nice tug, and that's it. And all this rubber as well, the rubber cover, that comes out also, and no big deal. There it is right there. And there's the covers. So now we have the switch exposed here. And as for the rest of it here, we're going to get in a little bit closer so you can have a good look at what we need to get our signal light switch out. Okay, now for this part of the job here, we're just going to use our number 25 Torx screwdriver. And there's just the one screw right here in the top. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that screw out, and then we'll move on to the next phase. This one is off. And we have another one here, and it's really just two screws that you have to worry about. And the second one is right in here. Let's see if I can just light that up a little bit for you. You see it right there. Okay, now this part is probably the most tedious part of the whole job. There's another Torx screw right in here, and of course you can see it's very tight in this area, and that's why you have to use this Torx screwdriver that's kind of like an Allen key. And if I get that started in here, and there it is, and you're only going to be able to turn this like, you know, get that started, as you could hear the little snap as the threads kind of break loose. And you can only do it about a quarter or an eighth of a turn at a time. So let me get on with that, and we'll get back, and then we'll have the signal light indicator switch pulled out. Okay, at this point I'm just going to turn the last few threads out, and there it is. There's a screw and just a regular Torx screw. Okay, so now we have the turn light signal switch right here. It's out in our hand, and it's ready to go. Now from this point forward here, it's pretty self-explanatory. And down in here, and I think I have the steering wheel, yeah, it's down as far as it will go. So the plug-ins are right here. You can see them, right, like so. And then there's one that's a little bit deeper. Let's get some, it's right there. You can see that right in there. So that one's it's got a lot of tape on it and such, and it's probably not the easiest to undo everything, to pull that up nice and close to you, so it makes it easier to get at. So what I'm going to actually do is just going to, there we go. I'm just going to unplug it right in situ there, and then plug it back in. So let's get going on that, and we'll have a look at how our new switch fits. Okay, the old one is out, and you can see all of the plugs are undone here. And again, just the reason I don't have that on film for you is because it's or recorded. Dating myself here with film, but at any rate, the reason for that is just because my mitts are going to be in the way of it, and you're not going to be able to see it. But we're just unplugging at this point. Now, what I did just to get the one inside here, right in there, I just used a little one of my awls that I got in my little screwdriver toolkit just to release the lock, and then just pull up against the wiring harness, and it came unplugged pretty easily. And there's the other 3 plugs here, and they're all going to line right up. So I'm going to plug in the new switch then, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so plugging back in is certainly a lot easier than unplugging, because there's nothing to unlock. And you can see here the switch is going to fit in exactly where the other one came from. And what I'm going to do just before I get all of this, and I'll show you how to put all this back together, what I'm going to do is just going to test everything out just for a moment here, just to make sure that the switch actually functions the way it should, because at this point, why put everything back together only to be disappointed later? So let's give this a run through and make sure everything works. Okay, so everything works well. Just an FYI on this, when you do this yourself, the accessory mode is not going to get your signal lights flashing or anything like cars did in the old days. You're going to actually have to start up the car. It might be different if you have a key with yours, but with this one here that has the push button start up, it works a little bit different. Okay, now that we have the new one all plugged in as well, what we can do now to put this back in is we're going to have to get, of course, the screws back into place now that everything's plugged in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually start off the process by putting this one in first, where I have to use the, oops, drop the screw, where I have to put use the angle screwdriver. So let me go ahead and get that put into place right now, and then I'll show you how to kind of get this back over onto this sort of this keyway that you see right over here. Okay, now that we have the lower one in place, you can see the signal light switch indicator. The switch is still a little bit loose here because we want to just kind of pop the assembly here over this kind of what forms like a keyway. And the reason for that is because if you put this top one in first and then try to line up the bottom one, it's not very easy. So now that the bottom one is nicely lined up, we're just going to move him over here. There. And then it just kind of snaps right down in place. And when it does snap down into place, this screw up here is absolutely in line. And then down it goes into place. And the one where you've got to fool around with that funky angled screwdriver, that is this one right here, now you have an easy go at it. So just do it in that order, just to maintain your sanity while you're doing this job, because it's not really that difficult if you do it in this order. Okay, so now we have that torqued in. I'll show you that. And there it is right there. Right in there, everything's done. Top is in. Switch functions in all directions, no problem at all. Okay, and now when we're putting this back together here, this is the top cover. And what we're going to do with this rubber here is all we have to do is just basically push the rubber back on, push it back on into place. And I'll do that right now, and then I'll show you how to get that back into the dash. Okay, so there it is right there. And it's pretty straightforward, just the tabs, you can see them in there. Just slide right into that rubber piece. And then we'll just get it right over here to the dash, and all we have to do here from this point on is just pull the rubber back down over like so. Okay, and it's not the most sophisticated way of doing things, but it is what it is. Okay, and you just pull that back right here, and there we go, and we just push it into place. Okay, there we go. And you can see that it's all there. And really, from this point forward, all you've got to do is do everything what you did before in reverse. You take your screw right here, and you put that back up into place here using your 4mm socket. You return this, and yeah, I'll show you a little bit in a moment here. So what I'm going to do is get the screw put back into place here to hold this piece of trim in place, and I'll just show you how to put the bottom in without having to take off this bolster under here or anything like that. It's actually pretty easy. Okay, so the top is screwed down there. Okay, let's see. You can just see up inside there. You can see that I've got the bolt up in there is in place. Okay. I don't know if that's focused very well for you, but let's try that again. Okay, and there it is. Top trim is there in place. And what we're going to do now, we'll just take the bottom trim here and just pull that back. And when we put it in place, all we have to do, okay, just come back around here. Again, it's a little bit tough to show you everything here, but it's just because of holding the camera as well. But when we do push it in place, the little tabs here, just push them. Little tabs here, just push them back into the rubber, and you can just sort of get your fingers in behind when you do so, and just kind of pull the rubber back against the trim, push it up. These snaps here, right here, go right back up in there where they came from, right up in here. And that's it, the job's all done. So let's have a look, let's get that back together. Okay, and there it is. So as you can see, the rubber is back in place here. Sort of that clamshell fit here for these two pieces, and we'll just tip the steering wheel up. And you can see here, all I did here, put the rubber back on, is I just basically put my hand in like so, and just kind of pulled it back to put those, to put it back together like so. Snapped it up in place, that's it. Screws, remember, one here and one over here, and that's it. The job is done. And there you have it. You've got your brand new signal light switch, and now when you're driving along and using your signal light, you won't be putting on your high beams anymore.